Welcome to a new series I'm calling Project Eyeball, where I have the goal to eyeball read 10 books this year. Why do I have the goal to eyeball read? Simply because I don't do it. I don't do it. I know. Zoran, you have all these books. Why? What do you mean you don't eyeball read? Babe, I hate to break it to you. Ever since I started creating content 5 years ago, my audiobook use has gone up every single year to the point where I maybe read 1 to 2 books a year with my eyeballs, no assisted devices. And yes, I read books with my eyes, but I usually immersion read and I have the audiobook in my ear while I follow along on the page. And that works great for me. But I rarely sit down and read with a book, no audiobook, no music, no nothing. And I need to fix that. I want to fix that because I am so embarrassed to admit this, but I'm being honest with you. I feel out of practice with reading. And that's why I set the goal for myself to eyeball read 10 books, no audiobooks. I set this goal for myself because I had a moment of realization where I was like, wow, I never have the motivation to just sit down and read and do nothing else. Because when I have an audiobook, I can be doing other things. I can be washing the dishes. I can be cooking dinner. I can be going on a walk. In the last few years, I've associated reading with another thing of being productive. And that's really changed my perspective on reading. So now I want to deconstruct that. So I created Project Eyeball for myself because I realized I needed to get through the uncomfortable feeling of sitting in silence and reading a book without an audiobook in my ears. But in the past few weeks, when I finally sat down to eyeball read a book, I realized I am slow, so freaking slow. And I'm fine with being a slow reader, but I know I need to get better at it. I used to burn through books. Bottom line is I need to get back in the habit of eyeball reading. I need to soak up the words. I started this a few weeks ago and now I'm creating content about it and I feel my powers growing every day. I'm getting back at it. And like I said, reading is a skill. It's a learned skill. If you snooze, you lose. And so I'm happy to report that my first book for Project Eyeball is Martyr by Kaveh Akbar. I'm taking a break from fantasy and I'm reading a lit fic, and I've heard this is a depressing book. I've heard it's a weird book, but I've also heard it's a very timely book and I'm excited to dive in. I'm about 100 pages in right now and I'm really enjoying it. And while I like to annotate the books while I read and it slows me down, I do find that I like to sit with the words on the page a little bit longer, and I find myself thinking about when I'm reading, because when I listen to an audiobook, I'm not pausing every few minutes to think about what I just read. I'm excited to be eyeball reading again. I obviously will still be listening to audiobooks. Obviously, audiobooks are still the main way I consume stories, but I'm so excited to be back in the habit of reading with my eyes because, like I said, I've genuinely become out of practice, so I'm excited to force myself to do it again.